Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of ENA. We got time. I'm here with a very, very special guest, former NFL player, also philanthropist and motivational speaker. We have Akin Ayodele. Say what's up to the people, man.
What's up? What's up? ENA, we got time. How y'all doing?
Okay. Appreciate it. Okay. At what age did you start to take football serious and you thought, I can make a career out of this and I want to pursue this as you got older?
So I honestly, I didn't even, I grew up an athlete. I ran track, baseball, basketball, loved basketball, loved track. I swam. I did everything but football. And it wasn't until I got to high school where I decided to play football, and that was mainly because, one, I saw all my boys, all my friends in my neighborhood that I hung out with, all were playing football, and so we all were going to the same school. And then, two, I read a Sports Illustrated article going into my senior year that, the article talked about how colleges were gave high school football players scholarships to play Division I football, and that scholarship would pay for their tuition, would pay for their academics, and cover all their food and housing and all that stuff. So I said, man, this might be a way for me to for sure guarantee a way to go to college, and that really was what inspired me to even go to the coach's office and ask if I could play football. So I would probably say, right around that 13, 14 years old. And, once I made my mind up to play football, I was all in. I worked out, I would study, I would stretch. I was so all in that at 13, 14 years old, I committed to my nutrition. So I went home one day and I told my mom, I said, I'm not eating any more of your fried chicken. I'm not eating any more desserts, any more sweets, like you would any typical mother, especially black mothers. Like, you're going to eat what I put on this table.
Exactly, definitely.
But I was determined to be the best I could be. And that was because I knew I was so far behind all my peers, all my teammates, that I needed to accelerate or try to catch up. And, night after night, she would make, she made some fried chicken, or she made some food that I thought was bad for my nutrition, I wouldn't eat it. And eventually, she understood how serious I was, and, and I committed to it, that it paid off.
Okay. Who are some players you looked up to or model your game after once I assume if you said you started taking it serious around 13 or 14, I assume you started watching a lot of guys that were playing in the league when you were in high school, and I'm sure in some way, shape, or form, you may have imitated or tried to duplicate some of the things you saw them doing on the field.
Yeah. So it was a few guys, and I think, I know how much you love the Cowboys. I would say that most of the guys that I try to copy and carve my game behind were Cowboy players. So, I at the time I was a receiver / DB. So Deion Sanders was one of the guys that, I just would not necessarily try to play like, but, try to consider myself, I wanted to be a lockdown corner. At receiver, there were a few other guys I probably admired, but, there's a whole host of it, the Jerry Rice and the Michael Irvins, because at the time those were the best at their position. And then, then I moved to tight end. And so, Shannon Sharp was a guy that I really looked to. Jay Novacek was a guy that I really looked to. And then even when I ran the ball, I wanted to be shifty like a Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith. Those are guys a lot that I thought of, that I could try to create my game around. And then there was this middle linebacker that played for the Cowboys, Ken Norton Jr. He was a guy that I always admired, I respected, because I watched a lot of football at the time, and he just commanded leadership, he commanded respect, he exuded leadership and commanded respect, and and his game was always solid on the field. He didn't get a lot of recognition, but he was consistent. And so when I was focusing on defense, I said one of the things that I need to be is to be a good leader and to be consistent. So where my teammates and the players can always count on me. And his game probably had the most influence on the style of game that I wanted to play.
Okay. What went into you picking Purdue as a college to go to? Was it because, you're from Texas and you want to stay closer to home, or was it a college, you really had a good, what do you call it, when they bring you out there?
Oh, recruiting visit?
Yeah.
Well, no, honestly, it wasn't none of that. So I chose Purdue based on academics.
Okay.
And what is a funny story behind that is Purdue was so out of my reach. Purdue was the best academic school that offered me a scholarship. But for me personally, going to a school for academics was never in the cards for me. I'm dyslexic. I have learning disability. When I was in ninth grade, I was reading at a fourth or fifth grade level. I was probably a BC student.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't that I grew up, I'm smart, I'm a genius. I just knew that the best chance for me to be successful in life, or for me to be able to get a great job and take care of my family, was to go to a school that would push me, and that would have solid name recognition for academics. And even though Purdue was also a football school, the football program was subpar at best at the time, to be honest. I don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the recruiting visit. I had other visits to other schools that were bigger names than actual football schools. But my focus wasn't just to go to school for football. My focus was mainly to go to school for academics, and then happen to be playing football. There's another story to that. So I originally committed to Purdue, and then my senior year, the spring of my senior year, I got in a car wreck. One of my buddies got in a car wreck, and my best friend, and he died. And I was in and out of school that spring, so my GPA dropped, so I became ineligible to play Division I football. I actually had to go to junior college.
Okay.
And going from junior college, I was a standout athlete. I was All-American, Player of the Year, and so I had even more offers. If you can think of a lot of the big schools at the time, wanted me to come, wanted me to take a visit, but Purdue had actually recruited me out of high school. And because also their commitment to me, even when I was at junior college, and even though I had all these opportunities to go to Miami or to go to Texas or any of these other schools that were actually football schools, Purdue academically was better, and because they were loyal also to me, I decided to be loyal to them and then go up there to West Lafayette, Indiana, and play football. And I happened to play for, one of the greatest quarterbacks of our time, Drew Brees.
Okay. Nice. After college, the draft, describe to me the emotions you had on day two whenever your name got selected, and where were you when you got selected, if you remember?
Okay. So I can say that back in my day, because I'm that old now, that the draft was only 2 days.
Okay.
And back then, you had the first 3 rounds on the first day and the 4th through 7th round on the second day. So I actually got drafted on the first day, which was exciting. I was projected to go between second round and the 5th round. So, I knew there was a good chance that I could get drafted on the first day, but also I could get drafted the second day. The day I got drafted, my brother was getting ready for prom, Akin Ayodele, who also actually played in the league as well, and we played together with the Cowboys and the Cowboys team. But he was getting ready for high school prom, so I got him ready, got him all prepared, got his limo, took pictures, and then after that, my mom, asked me what I wanted to do. I said, listen, honestly, all my friends were calling me, what are we going to do? How are we going to, celebrate this day when you get drafted? I said, listen, guys, I just kind of want to be by myself. So I went and drove up down toll road, North Dallas toll road, and I got in the hotel. I sat in the hotel for, I want to say maybe it was 5 hours, 6 hours, however long it was before the third round started coming on. I knew I wasn't going to get drafted in the first. I thought maybe there's a chance I could get drafted in the second. Didn't get drafted in the second. The third round, I said, maybe there's a chance I could get drafted in the third. And I got drafted in the third round, and I was excited. I was pumped. I talked to Tom Coughlin. I said, "Are you ready to be a Jaguar?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, you're not going to regret this pick. And it was just a lot of elation just from all the hard work and the sacrifice. Most people don't know. All these guys, we just got through draft this past weekend. All these guys have put in so many hours and so many blood, sweat, and tears, and probably gone through so many injuries and have sacrificed so much of their time and relationships just to get the opportunity to play in the National Football League, and which will tremendously change the trajectory of their lives moving forward, whether they play one down or they play 0 down, just the fact that they had the opportunity to see their dreams come true. And so I knew a lot of that had happened. I mean, I can think of the times when I would come home and, I'll work out at, 6:30 in the morning, and then in the evening I would go in the heat of the day, go work out. I remember I snuck into Texas Stadium and somehow snuck in there, and I was running the stadium stairs and just, picturing myself wearing a Cowboy jersey and playing in there. I remember, being in college, and I would also somehow snuck in the stadium on a Sunday, and I would run every single stairs inside the stadium, until my foot touched every single stairs, and sprint every single stairs. I wasn't going to leave the stadium, and doing that on Sunday, and then going over to this area we call Slater Hill and running hills on a Sunday, and then getting up on Monday and then doing the normal workouts that they would have for us, and wouldn't tell anybody, wouldn't say anything, and so just thinking about all the hard work I put in to be able to get an opportunity to have a dream come true meant a lot. I went home. Obviously, my mom knew. All my friends knew, so my phone was blowing out. And I was just excited in knowing that I would get a chance, and it felt great. It felt amazing.
That's a lot of dedication. You're telling me you put in. Now that you're in the NFL, what were some of the worst conditions, when you got to play in your team?
There's a few ones. I mean, worst conditions, you have to, I don't know how you would define that. Because
what were the most uncomfortable positions?
I mean, conditions, again, that's why I say you would have to redefine that, because the one thing that you would learn about professional athletes is that they learn how to endure early, and they learn how to trick their mind into not worrying about things that they can't control. So when you say uncomfortable conditions, you can say, okay, playing in Jacksonville and having to go up to Green Bay and playing in, 2-degree weather or a blizzard in New England, in the playoffs when it's probably around 10, 15 degrees and you can barely see, 5 feet in front of you. I remember playing in Kansas City when I was playing in Miami, going from a hot climate to Kansas City late in the year where we played, I think it was 6 degrees, temperature with the wind chill. It was like -10 or something like that. And you couldn't, in Kansas City Stadium is it's a grass field, but because it was so cold, we couldn't wear our cleats, and we had to wear turf shoes on grass just to be able to run.
That sounds
Yeah,
like terrible.
it was terrible because, and then when you fell, it was like falling on concrete. It was like falling on asphalt. It was just hitting the ground. But my point, to tell you that is a lot of majority of guys for them to play as long, for them to play as well as they do, is that you learn to not think about or not worry about things that you can't control. I can't control the weather. I can't control the opponent, shows up or doesn't show up. I can only control myself, and I can only control my preparation. So a lot of times I went into this not even thinking about the conditions. It wasn't until maybe I retired that I realized, man, you played in a -11, degree game, and your feet and your fingers are so frozen. Let me tell you, it was so cold that game in Kansas City. They would pour water in a cup for us. By the time they finished pouring it and then sitting it down or handing the cup to us, it was icicles. And it was icicles in the water. That's how cold it was. And so yeah, I mean it's now I played in Buffalo for a year. And playing game day, you have so much adrenaline flowing. You have so much hype, and you're so ready just to get into the game that you don't think about it. So it wasn't as tough, but practice was hard to practice outside because Buffalo has this thing called lake effect snow. Man, okay. I wouldn't wish that on my enemy, man. And it just dumps snow in a centralized area that you can't see anything. And then, when that goes away, it gets so cold. So having to practice outside in the cold day in, day out required a lot of mental toughness.
I'm from the South. All these stories you giving me, man, I don't know if I could have did all that.
I'm telling you, I'm from the South too. I'm from Dallas, so I know what you think. I went through it, and you learn to live with it, but it wasn't easy.
I hear you. Now that you retired from football, what are some business endeavors you're already pursuing, have in motion, and what are some, if any, that you still wish to pursue?
Mm-hmm. Great question. I think that's a very important question. So when I retired, I was blessed to play a decade in the National Football League. Close to a decade in the National Football League, I decided to go back to school and get my MBA. I got my MBA from George Washington University, and part of that helped me to jump into the financial world. I started a wealth management private equity company, and just been building that book of business. I also, I still have my charity and my foundation that I established when I was playing, and that still does a lot of work. We currently still work with about 15 professional athletes. Majority of them are NFL players, and it's kids focused, youth focused. Our three key initiatives are education, extracurricular activities, and nutrition. And then thirdly, one of the things that I've been doing also is speaking. I've been doing motivational speaking. I've been helping in life coaching, and just and I haven't done a lot of promoting myself in that endeavor, but I find it to be very therapeutic for myself and very fulfilling in seeing the transformation of the people that I'm able to have the connection with and help out. One of the things that I've been blessed to is my entire career life, I would say that I've always been pushed onto the stage to be a leader. So it was something that comes naturally, but it's, at the same time, it's still something that I have to work at. From a business standpoint, one of the things that my profession now allows me to do is it allows me to jump into several different arenas.
Okay.
Whether it's investing in real estate, whether it's investing in restaurants, whether it's investing in technology, or even in the medical world. And so I get to learn, I get to meet all kinds of amazing people and learn new industries and trends. Things that I'm looking forward to moving forward, to the future. It's a lot. There's still a lot. One of the things that you quickly learn that it's harder to make a dollar out here than it was when you play in the league. So part of the goal is trying to figure out ways to continue to make money, but also to help and to have a cause behind it. So it's not making money is not my number one objective. Making a difference is my number one objective.
That's true.
Whether it's my business, whether it's our charity, my philanthropic work, or whether it's my speaking, my motivational speaking. It's all about making a difference and changing lives.
That's strong, man. A lot of guys I've interviewed, they also have charity. It's amazing, the things you get to learn about some of these players once the pads and the helmets off. A lot of guys I've interviewed also have charities for kids, and I think that's great, man. That you guys take time out and you guys try and give back to whether it's the city you're living in, your hometown, or wherever you're playing. I applaud every last one of you guys for doing that because you really don't have to if you didn't want to. Because once again, like I said, a lot of it never really comes to the forefront. And a lot of people never get to hear about them. So, like I said, I appreciate y'all for definitely taking that step and doing that. But last question: what's something you learned from football you'll take with you for the rest of your life?
Oh man, that's a great question. There's a lot of things that I learned from football, and it's a long list of things that I can say. Whether it's the desire to commit yourself to a goal, the work ethic, learning to study, how to study, whether it's how to create bonds and relationships, and just the knowledge, the ability to increase your IQ, just by understanding nuance and schemes and the foundation. There's a whole list of things I can think of, but I would say most of it has been choices. And what I mean by choices is learning to make the right choices and understanding how choices impact your life. I tell people a lot that I've been blessed. I've been blessed way more than I deserve. I've been given so much more than I really do deserve or have even asked for. One of the things my faith has given me and has taught me is, being humble, but realizing that a lot of the things that I've been able to accomplish has not been just by my own doing, but it's also been some of the wisdom that has been given to me, and that I trusted that wisdom and I trusted some of the choices that I made. And because I made some critical choices at an early age, and I've had to again make some critical choices at being mature and older age, it has led, I've made some bad choices too. Don't get me wrong, I've made a lot of bad choices, but I've understood that the choices that I make, how it really impacts my life and how it impacts those connected to me, and how it's important to really weigh your choices and make the best choice that, not in the moment but also the choices that will impact your future. And I think one of the things that football, I can say for sure, has helped me to understand is how to weigh those choices and how to make the right choices that can really have a lasting and fruitful and blessing impact on my life and those that are connected to me.
That's deep, man. Hey, look, that's some great wisdom you passing on to me and, you know, the people that are gonna watch this interview. I think we covered all the questions. Any last words before we sign up?
No. Well, yes, I do have one. I would say that I like what you're doing. I think the industry needs more young talent, more people like yourself, and so continue to pursue this. Continue to, you know, really reach out, you know, and interview and film and do whatever it takes. You know, if this is what you want to do. I'm looking forward to seeing your name in the lights one day. You know,
appreciate that.
You're welcome. But you know, yeah, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me and speaking out.
The pleasure's all mine. This is ENA. We got time, man. One last time. I want to thank you for the opportunity, for coming through, and I'll be on the lookout for one of your speeches soon, and. That's all we got. This is ENA. We got time. We out. Thanks again, man.
All right.